Welcome to this edition of the Fire Marshal's Corner. I'm your host, Richard Blankenship. As you can see today behind me, I'm here at the Laurel swimming pool to do the show today. We haven't done a Fire Marshal's Corner for a while because of the COVID that hit and just put everything all behind, and you had to wear a mask. It was hard to talk to people with wearing a mask. Hopefully now we're getting back to some kind of normalcy have to wear the mask all the time. So that's why we're here today in this open space, so we can talk to you and get this done. Hopefully now we can get back to doing our monthly shows. But today we want to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk about pool safety here at the Laurel swimming pool, when it's going to open, what's going to happen this year. We're going to talk a little bit about code enforcement. We've got some issues in the city. It's that time of the year now, the summer's here, the grass is growing. We're getting a lot of complaints on that. I have Tyler from the code office to come in and talk a little bit of that grass, cars with no tags, cars with dead tags, how all these things come together and what we do in our office and make things easier for you and make things easier for us. So we're also going to talk a little bit about health concerns. Now the summer's here, you're cutting the grass, you're working in the yard. We're going to talk a little bit about heat stroke, heat exhaustion, and heat cramps, because that's very important for you to understand that. You know, if you're going to be outside in this kind of weather, make sure you hydrate yourself. You know, drink 32 ounces of water before you go outside and cut the grass. For one, last year I was on a rod mower and never paid attention to it, and I ended up getting a little bit of heat stroke. So I know when I came into the house, man, I was real dizzy, my temperature was up, and I didn't like that feeling at all. And sometimes we just don't pay attention, we don't recognize the signs and the symptoms. We'll talk a little bit about bulk pickup. You know, the city has a bulk pickup. They usually do them on Wednesdays. Any bulk pickup, you have to notify Public Works and get on a list to get the stuff picked up. It's a small fee, but you have to get that done before they'll come and pick your stuff up. So we're going to talk a little bit about grilling, using propane grills, also charcoal grills, and what kind of hazards they can be to us as people cooking at this time of the year. So like right now, I'd like to call Tyler from the Office of the Fire Marshal. He's a code enforcement specialist. He does a lot of the stuff of writing up grass, cars with no tags and things like that. Tyler, welcome in. Come on in here. As you can see here, this gentleman, this is what I looked like when I was 16. You know, this is my grandson. He works for the city. He works very hard. Tyler, well, I just wanted to ask you some things while we're here. You know, people ask, you know, when you ride around, you see tall grass. Is there a limit that when you write this up?
So our limit in our books is it's 8 inches. Is anything over 8 inches can be written up. Usually we try to give people a break. As soon as it hits 8 inches, I'm not out there with a tape measure, lining it up, seeing what it is. Usually I try to give you a break, and usually Thursdays and Fridays I try to tag grass because I know people are going to come home on the weekends and cut their grass and stuff like that. But if it's obvious, like if it's a foot high, then it's going to get tagged. And just because it gets tagged doesn't mean that the city's going to cut it. Usually when the city cuts it, it's a pretty hefty bill, so we try to stay away from the city having to cut it. So I said, you know, if you do it and there's something that is in your way, or there's a reason why, or you have something going on, family problems, or whatever the case may be, my number's always on there. You just give me a call. As long as you keep me updated, usually we can work with you, and it's not too big of a deal.
That's all we ask a lot of times when we write any kind of correction order. Don't ignore it. If you get it 3 days to do something and you can't get it done in that 3 days, give us a call and say, hey, I need a couple more days, I'll have it done by this date. We're okay with that. We're just looking more for compliance. And we're not at the fool with anybody. That's not what we do. We see grass, we write it up. You know, if somebody calls about it in the neighborhood, we write it up. That's just things that we do. Speaking about grass, just a couple things, some safety things you want to think about when you're cutting grass. Do not let little kids cut grass with the mower. That mower with that blades on there and that gasoline motor, that's very powerful and it's very dangerous. Sometimes adults get injured because they don't understand it like they should. Never run when you're cutting grass. Always wear long pants, and toes cannot be exposed, so make sure your shoes cover your feet. Be careful when you're backing up that you don't trip and pull the mower on top of yourself. Be careful if you're on a riding mower you come back with, you don't flip it over on top of you. Be careful around slopes. They're all over the place. And keep your hands and feet away from the blade. Sometimes you cut it after it's rained a little bit, grass gets hung up inside the chute, turn the mower off, unplug it from the spark plug, then reach in there and get it out. So do not stick your hand in there with the mower running. It's not a good thing to do. You don't want to do that. And walk your yard before you do it. See if there's any items laying on the ground, bottles, cans, golf balls, anything. Anything can be a projectile to shoot out of there, rocks. Clean that stuff up before you do it, especially the trash. You want to cut your grass and make your yard look good, last thing you want to do is cut it and have a bunch of trash all over, then you got to rake all that up. The other thing I want to talk about, like I said before, when you're out in this kind of weather, wear some sunglasses, wear a hat, put the sunscreen on, drink plenty of water before you go out there and do this. And be aware of the three issues. You're talking about heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Heat cramps, you start sweating a little bit, and then you start getting a little bit of muscle spasms. This is your body telling you, hey, I'm getting hot, we need to back off here a little bit. Go inside, cool down, drink some more water, and then come back and finish it up. If you can cut it in the evening, when the heat dies down, when the sun goes down, you can do that as well. Drink plenty of water or sports drink. Okay, you can do that, and then move to a cooler place. That's the first one. That's just going to give you a little hint that your body's telling you, hey, okay, the longer you ignore it, it's going to get worse. When you get heat exhaustion, you start sweating heavily. You have more muscle pain and spasms. Get in there, when you have an issue there, you need to get inside to a cooler place, loosen up your clothing, and start sipping a little water, take a little bit at a time. You don't want to drink a whole lot of it real fast because it's going to make you sick. But the big one that we have to worry about is heat stroke. A lot of people don't understand that. Your body temperature gets up to around 103, maybe higher. You're going to get dizzy, you're going to get confused. That's an indication right there that you got a problem. You need to pay attention to that. That's a true emergency. That's when you need to have your wife or somebody around you call 911 and get you some help. If you're there, move the person into a cooler place and lower the body temperature. What you can do is take ice packs, you can stick them up under the armpits or down here on the thigh. That's where the large vessels come in, up through your shoulders, up for your upper torsos and your neck area, and that'll cool the body down. But that's a serious one there. You have to make sure you pay attention to that. So when you start getting cramps, you start sweating a lot, pay attention to what's going on, take a break, and make sure you got it all covered. What do you know about bulk pickup? How's it? And we talked about that just a few minutes ago, but we have to get a thing from the city, right? From Public Works?
Yeah, so they call, usually we get them for like excessive trash and stuff like that. It's mattresses, anything like that. I know the price can vary depending on what they're picking up. I know it goes out usually on Wednesdays. That's something you can just call the city and book through DPW with.
How about vehicles with no tags or tags that expired?
So right now, with us being in a state of emergency, they've extended it. So I think it's anything that's after March of 2019, as long as you have tags on it, even if they are expired, we're not towing anything right now. We're trying to give people breaks, but it needs to have a tag on it. So even if the tag's bad and you think it's better to just take it off, that is not it at all. If you get a tag on there or we tag it, like I said, call that number, give us a call, let us know. Some people are trying to update it, but even, if you're going to the DMV trying to get those new stickers, keep the old tag on there. Don't leave it without a tag. Usually we'll give you about 3 or 4 days. Usually stuff in the DMV obviously takes longer than that, so that's more with you just communicating with us, letting us know where you're at with the process, what's going on, if there's anything we can do for you. But just make sure every vehicle you have does have a tag on it, whether it's a trailer, a car, or anything. Because if it's parked on public or private property with no tags, it can be towed.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Now again, that the summer's here, we're talking about cookouts. We all like to have those, have the family over. Some of us have gas grills, some of us have charcoal grills. If you're using a gas grill, make sure you follow the directions on there. Do not leave it once you get it set and you start cooking. It doesn't matter if you're using a charcoal or gas, don't leave it unattended. Never leave something burning unattended. Keep the grills away from the side of the house. Keep them out of your carports if you can, and keep them out of your garages. Because when you start cooking with gas and stuff like that, you can start causing a carbon monoxide issue. You don't want to do that. So just pay attention to what's going on. The biscuits that you use when you do your charcoal grills, they stay hot for a couple days. Now we've had some fires in Laurel over the years where people dump them in the trash can, put the trash can in the garage, thinking everything's okay. Later on that night, We burn the house up because that's what caused the fire. You're going to get rid of those things. You don't want to leave them in the thing. Get yourself a bucket of water and put them inside there. Let them cool off a couple of days, then dispose of them. Your propane, get yourself a bottle, a spray bottle, put some water and soap in it. When you turn your bottle on, just go around underneath and on, squirt it. If you have any leaks, you'll start seeing bubbles. That tells you got a leak in your propane. The last thing you want to do is have a leak in that. That can be very dangerous. You have that, shut her down, tighten that valve up or wherever it's leaking from. If it's hose is bad or something, it's just been sitting outside for a long time, it's dry rotted. Get the parts you need, go to Home Depot, Lowe's, and in places like that, and replace that. So it's very important to do that. The other thing I want to make sure that everybody understands, you know, this COVID thing set us all back on a lot of things. If you haven't had the vaccination, we recommend that you get it. It's free, it's going to protect us all. Make sure you get that shot, or two, whatever it takes. You need a ride there, people can give you a ride there. You know, the city has a bus that you can use, you can make a schedule, they'll take you there. We just want to make sure that people get treated, okay? And what I want to do now, since again it's summer, I want to get Danny Miller to come in here, talk a little bit about the pool, what we're going to do this summer. Welcome, Danny. Thanks for coming down today. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
I know it's important for people to understand what's going on here. I know you might have some new rules. I'm not sure. I know with the bit, I'm not sure what's going to happen or take place. So can you just give us a rundown about when you're going to open and what kind of rules they need to follow?
We will be opening up on May 29th at noon is our opening day, both here at Laurel Municipal Pool and Greenview Drive Pool. The COVID's still with us. The mask mandate has been lifted for outdoors, so to come into the facility you won't have to wear a mask, but you will if you have to use the restrooms, bathhouses, to throw a mask on, so you should still bring one with you. We have to disinfect all high-touch surfaces, so we're asking everybody to bring a chair with you, chair or blanket, because we will not have any of our deck chairs out this year, because it'd just be too much for us to keep up with in sanitizing everything.
Now, do they have, like last year, I know you had to schedule a time to come here. Is that still in effect?
No. Well, the sessions, there's one session, open swim, from 9 to 8 o'clock.
Okay. So I don't have to schedule anything from like 1 to 4 or 1 to 2 or anything like that. Okay, that's good. I noticed you got a life preserver there.
Yes.
Is that something you require the people to wear?
Not everyone. If you feel like you need one or your child needs one, we have U.S. Coast Guard approved life vests here on site for you to borrow. They'll be sanitized after each use. But if you do bring your own, just make sure it's U.S. Coast Guard certified. The swimmies, the arm swimmies, they're really not proper flotation devices and give children a false sense of security, and something can go wrong and you might not know.
Now, is there something these people should be familiar with the guards when they're here, the lifeguards? I know sometimes when I come by here, sometimes I hear them blow a whistle or whatever. I don't know what it's for. I mean, maybe somebody needs to get out of the water or something, I'm not sure, but I hear that.
Yes, our lifeguards, they have a whistle system. One tweet of the whistle is a lifeguard trying to get a patron's attention to maybe they're running on the pool deck or doing something in the water that they shouldn't be climbing on or under or something like that. 2 tweets, if you hear a lifeguard tweet their whistle twice, that means that they need to speak with a manager, and once we hear 2 tweets, a manager will come out of the office and go up to the lifeguard chair and see what the lifeguard needs. If you hear 3 blasts of the whistle consecutively, that means we're doing a rescue in the water and someone was in distress and is being pulled out. by a lifeguard.
Now, all your lifeguards are certified in CPR, AED, and first aid,
Yes,
and you have AEDs and all here for both child and adult?
yes, we have AEDs on site. All of our lifeguards are American Red Cross certified. CPR, lifeguarding, the proper
Medical care they can
certificates.
give.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody wants to get what's the prices on a permit? Like if I want to get one for the whole season, or can I just get one for the day if I just want to come for the day?
You can buy a season pass for families, double adult, or an individual adult, and they're all different prices. And you can also buy daily passes for, and it's broken down in age groups.
Oh, okay. Anything else you'd like to add to this year? Or any safety issue you can think of?
Just, I know we have lifeguards on duty at all times, but parents, just please keep your eye on your child too. Lifeguards can't, they're surveying an entire pool of people. The more eyes on the pool, the better. We all have to help each other, and we're gonna have a great summer, and we hope to see you down here or at Greenview.
Danny, I appreciate you coming and giving us that information. Hopefully that'd be helpful for the citizens out there to let them know what's going on and when they're going to open.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Okay, folks, that kind of wraps this up for this session. But I'd like to take some time to thank some people for what they do, especially the crew that's here today from communications. They never get no recognition, but they do a real good job for us. They show up and get everything set up, and all we got to do is come here and talk to you. So, gentlemen, thank you for your time. And again, I'd like to dedicate this show to all the first responders. I know over this past year and a half, you went out on a limb to protect the citizens of this county and state. I think you've done a fantastic job. But remember, get that shot. And like the governor said, wear the damn mask. It's very important that you do that. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on the Fire Marshal's Corner.